You're putting on your corporate fixer hat. What's the biggest problem and how do you plan to fix it for the DCEU?
Make a plan.
You've got to have some sort of cohesive vision.
First thing I do is delete Zack Snyder's number from my phone.
I'm going to burn a couple of movies here, guys.
Wow, that answer was a bombshell.
It has to be someone who is in charge, period.
You can't have it both ways.
That's the most important thing.
We've got some sincere fandom talk here with regards. This is a open letter to WB and go anywhere. This last segment is probably not going to go the way that you think. So hang in there. But let me propose the corporate fixer segment to the panel formally. What I'm trying to get at here with this segment is, what do you see is the single biggest challenge? And I know we've talked a lot about the challenges in terms of the different structure, continuity. We've talked about the release cadences, how quantity, how things of that nature. But I want you to just sort of pick out the one thing that you think above all else really stands out as the biggest challenge for the DCEU moving forward. And how you might troubleshoot it if I gave you the reins of WB or AT&T and said, whatever your mandates are, this is what everybody has to do to sort of get things back under control. And some of the issues that we've talked about, just to give the panelists some context here in terms of what are some examples, is creative misfires. We've talked about some films that have not worked out as well. For whatever reason. Management turnover is something that we didn't discuss in a lot of detail, but we think it's impacting the WB and the DCEU. Splintered leadership, right? We don't have that kind of unified cohesiveness that Disney has with regards to all of their synergies. And perhaps even over-reliance on big-name actors might be something that's holding the DCEU back. You have folks like The Rock who are known, beloved out there. They have their own fandoms, millions of people following them on social, and they have expectations when they see someone like The Rock get into something like Black Adam. They want to see Dwayne Johnson. Whether he's in a black suit with a lightning bolt on the front might not mean a lot to some of his fans who are just happy to see Dwayne Johnson as a brand name in front of the screen and are not particularly loyalists when it comes to how the Black Adam story might unfold and be faithful to source material. So I'm going to get out of the way here and let the panel take over and do the number crunching. I want to start this time with Stanton. You're putting on your corporate fixer hat. What's the biggest problem and how do you plan to fix it for the DCEU?
I would get somebody who can get in there, and that might be Hamada. I'm not saying it's not, but that can provide a level of organization and perspective. I think the biggest thing that has hurt them, and I'd almost say crippled them in the things that they've done so far, is not having organization, and then consequently not having a realistic outlook on what is actually happening. And I'm gonna burn a couple of movies here, guys. I'm just gonna tell you a little story real quick. I was at a Florida football game one time where I was sitting in the south end zone, if you've ever been to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, and they were playing Vanderbilt, and I was just sitting there watching the Vanderbilt quarterback pick out plays and read plays down the field, and I was like, that guy's good, man. You could just see him reading the field. And that quarterback turned out to be an NFL quality guy named Jay Cutler. Now, I think that sort of ability to look at what's going on and read the room and kind of negotiate where they're taking this creatively is something that they're completely lacking. They're just doing things impulsively. And what I'll go back to is all the way back to Man of Steel. When I watch Man of Steel, I know there's some people that try to champion this as some great film, but holy Christ, guys, watching this is just like watching somebody who's just putting stuff in places, and it kind of works. But if I got that movie back as an executive, I would be like, all right, we need to work on something creatively to get this going in a more productive direction that doesn't feel just chaotic. I'm gonna say the same thing about Suicide Squad on a much more exaggerated level. That I don't know what they were doing with that film feels like it was just cut up and hacked up, and I don't know what they were doing. But they don't have anybody overlooking these things. I'm gonna step to Batman versus Superman. Should not have greenlit a sequel to that. They were so enamored with the idea that Batman and Superman were just going to sell over everything that they were just charging forth like with reckless abandon. And what happened with the whole Snyder situation and having to refilm that with Joss is just a lack of organization, a lack of reality-based decision making. They're just pressing forward with stuff impulsively. I'm going to toss in Wonder Woman on this. Everybody loves Wonder Woman, but I gotta say, guys, when I was watching this, I'm sitting there going, what are they doing? We all know that the ending was reshot, that Patty Jenkins had to go back and have a completely different ending sort of thrown on the end of that, and that's why people say Act 3 doesn't work as much, because they're just kind of piecemealing this, throwing together it as it goes. There's not really any commitment to what they're doing. I don't know what the core is on that, but they need to have somebody that's kind of overseeing what they're doing so you don't get these cut and paste jobs. I'm absolutely sure that's what happened with Wonder Woman 1984. I mean, we've talked about the handsome guy when we did our review on that, but I'm convinced that this guy played a role in a major plot, and they went back through and cut this up and cut out some major plot elements, and just the idea that they're having to go back in and piece these things together sort of after the fact rather than having a solid plan to start with, and they don't have to do that is something they got to fix. They just it's not going to work, and it hasn't been working. It's led them into just awkward situation after awkward situation, and I'm hoping Amada's got that fixed, but it's the reason that I'm not abundantly confident as I sit here right now.
Wow, that answer was a bombshell. You put Stanton in charge and heads will roll. All kidding aside, love that answer. And what I'm getting from it is that they need organization and they need creative direction that comes from a single consolidated voice. Quick follow on that answer was so killer. I want to get your take on, could the fractured nature of these things, could the cut and paste nature of these films be because they have so many big stars who sort of want things to go a certain way, and they let those folks sort of shape the direction of it rather than letting that creative head do his job?
It's possible. I'm going to confess I probably don't know enough about the ins and outs to really answer that beyond just conjecture. I'll say that when you, as a fan base, ask for independent films, then you have to commit to that. You can't have Patty Jenkins doing whatever she wants and then also having Zack Snyder doing whatever he wants and then try to pretend that these have anything to do with each other. You can't have it both ways. So I'm fine with the idea of like independent films and letting Jenkins and Snyder and all these people do, and James Wan do whatever it is they want, but you can't mix them together then. If you're going to mix them together, you've got to have some sort of cohesive vision. You got to have some sort of organization. Just, that's it.
Right. Yeah. And some just kind of counter that. You probably wouldn't have had Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey if not for Margot Robbie trying to shoehorn her way into something that's traditionally doesn't really look like that in the comic books. And they did it because they wanted to energize this particular property with a big star. And not to bring in the distinguished competition into the conversation, because this really is about DC, but you see a lot less of that. I think Marvel knows how to take the obscure, the broken toys of Hollywood. RDJ wasn't doing much before Iron Man. It's not like they bought in a big name to do it, so they're kind of able to shape the discussion creatively when it comes to that. But that's probably a whole different topic. I do want to get the remaining champions the opportunity to put on their corporate fixer hats, and I want to go to Taylor. You're identifying the single largest problem you think that WB might be having with the DCEU, if you can, if you dare, and then you are given the mandates. What are you telling the folks at DC that they need to do, at WB that they need to do to sort of get the DCEU on track?
At the start of the very first segment, I talked about problems that the DCEU have had, and one of the biggest ones was Zack Snyder, in my opinion. And I feel like they told Zack Snyder, you're in charge of this, make us an entire DC universe, but make it just like Nolan's Batman movies. Well, Nolan's Batman movies do not work in a larger DC universe, period. So and Snyder tried to do it that way, and his vision, again, just wasn't compatible. So, and since then they've been struggling. They've been trying to find the right vision, and it's, I fully admit it's been piecemeal, and there's been good stuff and there's been bad stuff, and all the movies have had good stuff and bad stuff. So as far as corporate fixer go, first thing I do is delete Zack Snyder's number from my phone and my computer, and pull his card out of the Rolodex and burn it, and never bring him into this again. Okay. Then you got to find someone else who's in charge, and like I said, maybe, as Arsh said, maybe it's Hamada, maybe it's not, but it has to be someone who is in charge, period. Not the actors, not the directors, nobody else. There is one person in charge of the DCEU, if you are going to have a DCEU. And finding that person is tough. Like I said, maybe it's Hamada. I hope it is Hamada. The other thing I would like to do, but it is step on the brakes, slow things down, but that's not feasible in the business environment I think we're in right now. So start doing more of what's been working for you. If I was in charge, here's what I would do. I would make another Aquaman movie. I'd make another Shazam movie. There's still going to be a third Wonder Woman movie. That was never in question. It's still going to happen. And I don't know what the heck they're doing with Flash. You want to do Flashpoint, okay, whatever. You want to have another Batman in another universe, that's fine. You can do that too. But if you're going to have a shared DCEU universe, build up these characters a little bit. Let them do stuff on their own for a little while, and then at some point, maybe just bring two of them together. Then in the next movie, bring 4 or 5 of them together. Again, slow it down. You don't have to do everything at once. Chew your food. Don't put it all in your mouth at one time and try to swallow it. Yeah, again, I'm not a corporate person in any way, shape, or form, but I'm just a movie fan and wants to see more movies.
Understood, but I think that's sound advice for anybody. Chew your food, slow it down. You don't want to choke. I think that's pretty prudent advice. Of course, there are market factors that WB, AT&T have to think about when it comes to staying relevant as a media company. But maybe they should put on the brakes for a little while and do a planning session. Good talk, Taylor. Stanton, you had a follow-on?
Yeah, just really quickly, I totally agree with Taylor. I was thinking as he was talking that regardless of whether they want to try to do some sort of connected universe, whether they want to go stand solo films only, totally independent, and give their creators more control, you have to create an environment of working together. One of the things that I get out of Marvel is that I feel that they're creatively on the same page, that you're working with them as creators, from producers, from Kevin Feige all the way down to directors, and even all the support staff, that they're on kind of the same page and molding kind of a vision together. I was gonna, instead of going to, I almost didn't want to go to Marvel, I was gonna go to Chick-fil-A actually, just to get out of the movie industry. But you can show up to each one of their restaurants and you get this high level of consistency. You get people walking you in from the parking lot with umbrellas when it's raining. You can have a line that's wrapped 5 times around the building and everybody's confident they're going to get through that line in 5 minutes, because at every location, because they have this management structure in place where everybody knows what needs to be done. Everybody's committed to that same vision. Everybody works together to figure out solutions, and they're all team players, and that's what you need. It doesn't really feel like that with DC at this point. that's why I wanted to get away from the movie concept, is this goes beyond just, them competing with Marvel or whatever. This is just an overall management structure. Now, why you don't get that same feeling out of every, insert your, I don't want to badmouth any other chain, but why you don't get that feeling out of every chain, I don't know. How do you create a national or sort of large scale system, corporate structure where everybody is working on the same page at a high level and everybody's committed to that vision? I don't know. I don't feel like they're doing it right now. I hope they do, but that's what needs to happen.
Wow. I think that answer speaks a lot towards corporate cultures and how some cultures foster producing a superior product and some don't. So perhaps there are changes in the cultural aspects of WB and AT&T that need to be considered before they can advance their game as far as the creative side of it. So, and again, no one is saying that the DCEU is an abject failure, or you may not even think that they need to fix anything. There is a vocal segment of the fan community that feels that the films are fine, that they could keep releasing them. We don't really have a stake in what they choose or how they choose to do it or who stars in it. We just want to keep seeing DC films, and as long as they're high grossing films and high quality productions, that would be fine with us. So I think those are all legitimate opinions, and I just wanted to clarify that for the audience. Before going to our final champion on this particular topic, Grandmaster, it's up to you to put on your corporate fixer hat. You're looking at the one thing that you think might be wrong, if anything, with how the DCEU is being run by WB and AT&T, and what do you do if you have the corporate reins? What are you telling to the folks? What are your mandates?
Story, goals. I think the success of Marvel, and I'm gonna talk that, is they knew what they were doing right from the start. I mean, you have that after credit scene, bringing Nick Fury in. Where I'm here to talk about the Avengers Initiative. Bam! You knew we're gonna get Avengers somewhere down the line. They already planned that. Then you get to Avengers, you see Thanos turning around. So we knew we're gonna get some kind of version of the Infinity Gauntlet story. We didn't know when, we didn't know how, but we knew it was coming. That creates excitement, that creates investment. What Warner Brothers DC needs to do is create a similar structure in their storytelling. And they don't need to copy Marvel in any way, but they need to make a plan from where do we want to end up? How do we get there? What are the stops in before we get to the end? And how do we get there in between? Where can we add something that will forward the overall arc? Make a plan. That's the most important thing. And yes, you need somebody to oversee that plan, and preferably one person. And we can say Kevin Feige has always overseen this plan. There were other people involved who were president of Marvel Studios before Kevin Feige during this Infinity Gauntlet story. That's not even important as long as you stick to the plan. And add new movies, new series to that plan if it fits. If it doesn't fit, don't do it, or make it stand alone and make sure everybody knows it's standalone. Don't bring things in from that. If it doesn't fit, don't do it. And that's what they need to do. They need to, if they want a shared universe, I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I've advocated for this before, and I will advocate it still. If they are producing standalone stuff, that would be that would be better than trying to get a universe going which doesn't. But if they want to do a shared universe, make a plan and stick to that plan, and take your time. Don't rush it. I mean, we get the second movie in the current DCEU is Batman vs Superman. They try to put 5 different stories in one movie. and then you can talk about quality, and you can talk about if it's the right stories, etc. But that's already too much. Rush. Don't rush. Take your time. I totally agree with Taylor there. Don't rush, but make a plan. That's most important. Make a story. Where do you want to go with that story? And you can add chapters to that, and you can bring in characters. Know which character you want to bring in at what point. And Warner Brothers DC has been lacking that from the very beginning, and that's the biggest problem with the DCEU in my view.
Wow, the Grandmaster laying down the law. No one escapes his sight.
I wouldn't say law. I mean, again, if you do standalone stuff or stuff that's semi-connected, fine, but make it clear to everybody. But if you're calling it DCEU, then make a DCEU, and stop messing around like you have been the last 6-7 years.
Right, and I do apologize there. I was using the law with the loose connotation that you were just being authoritative, a sort of American thing there. But that being said, you are clear in your message that there's organization and planning, and it's amazing how that's a common theme that we hear across the panel with the champions, that they really need to not go back to formula, but to take a step back, sit down. We know it's an aggressive marketplace. We know that there's a lot of competition from other media companies, but sit down, make a plan. It just feels like the kind of thing that we all get told somewhere around middle school when we have goals that involve more than just going to the corner store to get a popsicle, right? Your parents will sit you down and say, hey, here's how you make a plan. Here's how you set a goal. And it feels like that the leadership at WB, at AT&T, could probably, take a lesson from that. Grandmaster, final thought on that?
Not so much on that. I just want to make clear that I want a successful DC Warner Brothers franchise. And with successful, I mean not only financially, but also critically acclaimed and loved by the fandom. And I would be there opening weekend if it does happen. I mean, I want that to happen for them because they have amazing potential. It's just so frustrating, and maybe that's what happened to me in the last comment I made. That frustration rang through. It's just frustrating they haven't been doing that. And get your act together and get it done because we want it. Just make it happen.
All right. We've got some sincere fandom talk here with regards. This is a open letter to WB and what they're doing with the DCEU. You can really feel the passion, the sincerity coming from the panel. Guys, I want to close this up with a lightning round on DCEU current events. I want to do a quick buy or sell from the panel. Taylor, the Batman, buy or sell?
Sell.
That took a minute, though. I think your mind can be changed.
Yeah, I hope it's going to happen. I hope it's great. But if I was making the choices, sell.
Fair enough. Stanton, buy or sell? The Batman.
Can I push?
You can push.
Listen, it could be really good. I'll buy it for now.
Fair enough. Grandmaster, buy, sell, push, hold the Batman.
Sell. By all means, sell.
All right. Next one in the lightning round, and there are 3. Snyder Cut. Taylor, buy, sell, push, hold.
Burn. Burn, bury, salt the earth.
You don't want a 4-hour redo of Zack Snyder's Justice League? Okay. Stanton, buy, hold, sell, push, Snyder Cut.
Sell. This is one of the worst things that's ever happened to comic book movies. Just move on. Good grief.
Goodness, wow. There's no mincing words there. Grandmaster, what's your take? Buy, hold, sell, push, Snyder Cut.
Stick it in a rocket and shoot it at the sun.
We're going supernova, folks, here. Last one, we're just having a bit of fun, perhaps at the DCEU's expense, but Post-mortem on Wonder Woman. We're looking. We did a review very sort of early on and check it out on the channel, by the way. It is up on the channel. Check out our review. But now that all the dust has settled, Wonder Woman 1984 in the post-mortem sort of landscape. Taylor, buy, sell, hold, push.
I'm still gonna say buy. I think they really, because I've thought about it a lot. I think they were really trying to do a retro superhero movie feel. I think that was Jenkins' intent, to have you think you were watching a sequel to Reeves' Superman in 1982 or 84 or something. In 1984, let's put it that way.
Got it.
They didn't fully achieve it, but that was their intent. They made some stumbles, but it's not dead. It's good enough to buy.
Okay, it's a buy. Stanton, are you buying, holding, selling Wonder Woman 1984?
I'm selling that fast. Okay, there might be two things that were on here, but what they ended up producing is one of the most thoughtlessly written things I've ever watched. Nearly everything in that makes no sense, especially the big moments. And once again, they just wasted big moments, just like left and right. Just toss it out there and just hope everybody goes with it. Now, listen, I will give some credence that this may be more of a production WB thing than it is a written thing. I think that there's a more than decent chance that they had a well-crafted thing that made a lot of sense, and at some point along the way they decided to scrap half of it and just ripped out stuff so that the end result looks like it makes no sense, but I'm selling the whole thing. It's just no.
All right. Grandmaster, you're up. Wonder Woman 1984, buy, hold, sell, push. What do you think?
I would put it in the basement, because if you want to sell it, you will get sued for that.
All right, guys. We're just having a little bit of fun here on the buy, hold, sell segment. You heard it from the champions themselves in terms of the latest with regards to the DCEU offering. Grandmaster, you had a thought?
Yeah, well, I think it's a shame you didn't put the Suicide Squad in there, because that I would not only buy, but I would buy and buy. That one is the one I'm really looking forward to.
Well, you know what? There's still time. Stanton, are you buying, holding, or selling on the Suicide Squad?
Yeah, I'm confident in James Gunn. I'll buy that and give him a shot. I think it's one of the highest potential things that they have going, for sure.
Outstanding. And Taylor, your thoughts? Suicide Squad. Buy, sell, hold, push.
Buy, definitely.
All right. So the DCEU does get a big win from the panelists here with the Suicide Squad. I'm also supremely excited for this movie. So never let it be said, despite my reputation on Sakaar, that I didn't have a little bit of love for what's going on at the DC. So, guys, I have to thank the panel for joining me today, giving me their precious time to discuss the DCEU, to do this deep dive. We've done analysis, we've done predictions, we've done breakdowns, we've done troubleshooting. This is the definitive discussion. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to throw it out there. This is the definitive discussion on the DCEU. If you're listening to this on the channel and you like what we had to say, go ahead and hit that button. Subscribe to the channel. Please do. Really helps us out, helps us to put out more content like this. Okay, that about wraps up today's show. We hope you enjoyed the discussion. Remember, you too can join the conversation on Twitter and Facebook, or right here on the show. So if you head over to the Sakaar message board, register for an account. There's no reason that you have to listen to my voice. It could be your voice on this show. All of our links appear in the video description, so be sure to check that out, to find us on social, to find us on the interwebs doing our thing. And remember, if you are within the sound of my voice, you are a champion. Until next time, take care.